nothing to lose because you don't. And when you realize that, that's when you make the decision that you're going to play your best. Because if you don't have it tomorrow. You don't get another 48 minutes. That's what we're here for. The pride, the tradition, the family. Yeah, about the guys in this room. Nothing else. 48 minutes for everybody who's here. Do you understand me?
Yes, Coach.
Do you understand me?
Yes, Coach.
Welcome back to Total to Titles. I am your host, Nino Brown, and you're watching a very special episode of P2P. We got an exclusive interview with Shepherd QB, Tyson Bagent. Tyson, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm out here training in Fort Myers, Florida, so just trying to stack the days, and I appreciate you having me on.
I know you're very, very busy, and you got a small window of opportunity to talk to people, so I appreciate you hopping on. We're gonna get right into it. You grew up in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Can you tell us what football was like growing up in West Virginia? And do you have an all-time favorite Mountaineer?
First off, football in West Virginia, it is, at least where I was from, it played a big part, in my life. Kind of everybody was, we had a youth league that was, tri-county, so 3 counties all with 5 or 6 teams, and then kind of just playing through a 12 games, schedule with playoffs and championships at the end of the game. So it meant a lot to be able to win those championship games. Football was, very important. And then especially where I went to high school, Martinsburg High School, multiple time state championship program, a big, football focused school. So it was definitely, football has always been, a huge part of my everyday life. I can't speak for the rest of the state, but at least in my area up in the Eastern Panhandle, kind of right in the middle of the DMV, really close to Maryland, really close to Virginia. I know that sports are big, especially in the DMV. A lot of scrappy players, football, basketball, whatever the sport may be. So it always played a huge role. And then I did, everybody in West Virginia, usually you kind of fall into that category of being a West Virginia fan. So I definitely fell into that category. And I've had to pick an all-time favorite. Obviously, you got to throw Tavon Austin, I think, in there. But I also had a lot of fun watching Noel Devine when I was really young, watching him run around, Jock Sanders, Pat White, all those guys. Steve Slayton, I thought they all did a good job kind of setting the foundation of what, has become and why they were able to get into the Big 12.
Yeah, that Pat White, Steve Slayton combo was deadly.
It was.
Now, you touched on, the high school. You were modest about it. You threw for 7,800 yards, 112 touchdowns. You were a Gatorade Player of the Year. Your school won 9 straight AAA championships. You won back-to-back in your junior and senior year. Just tell us about the high school experience and that football experience that you got in those 4 years at Martinsburg High School.
Yeah, it was special. I think whenever you're in a situation, lucky enough to be in a situation that's winning, I think it helps with just the amount of love that you have for the game as a whole. And we definitely got that at Martinsburg. When I got to the school, going into my freshman year, they were 5 straight. It was the first 5 state championships that they had won. And then coming into my freshman year, I was on the freshman team, but, got moved up later on in the year, got to travel to all the playoff games with the team. We ended up losing in the national semifinals. And then my sophomore year, I won the job. We went 8-3, made it to the second round of the playoffs, got knocked out again. So it was kind of some pressure in the sense of they had just won 5 straight. And, my first year, starting my sophomore year, we lost my freshman year, but then the year I played my first year, we didn't win. So that junior and senior year, I think everybody was kind of super focused, super dialed in, wanting to kind of create some more momentum and kind of get back on that winning path. And then, we were able to go 28-0. I was able to go 28-0 the last 2 years that I played. won 2 state championships, and it's a really good feeling whenever you're able to be the best in your state and kind of win the last game you play. So it was a lot of fun, and definitely thankful for that winning program I was able to be a part of.
Now, I'm just gonna go off the dock real quick and ask you a question. What was the best advice you received from any of the coaches in high school?
The best advice that I received, I would say just learning. I think them just instilling that just the constantly working hard mentality. I thought that we were a little bit different than a lot of high school programs in the sense that we had a lot of volunteers, a lot of people who wanted to be involved. So there were coaches everywhere and coaches that really loved the program, and I think they kind of instilled in us just the importance of constantly working hard. Not just working hard through a season of time within the year or a season of your life, but just constant, like it's constant critiquing, constant tinkering with your game, and just constantly trying to elevate yourself so that year in and year out you could see on the field and on the stat sheet that the work that you put in, you will reap those benefits down the line. So I would say that.
All right, all right. That saying, "No days off." There's true meaning to that. When you're trying to be a professional athlete, there is no days off.
Yeah, and you can take that too. You can think about it like, it's not the fact that you gotta exert yourself in the weight room or on the field, every single day, but even the days that are your recovery days, like, don't take those lightly, either.
Right.
Making sure you letting yourself recover, that you're taking full advantage of that. You're looking into what you can put in your body, or different movements, different light movements you could do, so that the next day you could be back to 100%. So yeah, I would definitely say I agree with that statement. Just no days off. It's just constant work.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit about your decision to attend Shepherd University, as I know you had a couple D1 offers on the table. And how was it staying home for your collegiate career?
Yeah, I mean, my dream, I thought I was, growing up, I thought I was going to go to Alabama, just like everybody else did. But I definitely, it was attractive to me to be able to go to West Virginia University. They did an RA job recruiting me. They made me feel wanted, but just didn't end up pulling the trigger. When the time came,
Right.
which stung a little bit, but I wasn't all wrapped up in the D1 or bust mentality coming out of high school, thankfully, because I know a lot of people are. But the two offers I had were from the University of Albany up in New York, and then the University of Robert Morris out in Pittsburgh. They were two struggling D1 programs. So luckily I was, sharp enough at the time to understand that Shepherd was a, perennial D2 powerhouse. They won a lot of games. They had a great game day atmosphere. They filled the stadium week in, week out. They threw the ball a lot, and the quarterback that was there before me got a shot with the Redskins. So I knew that if I went there and did my thing, I would still get my shot. So it was nothing for me to make that decision, and it was absolutely, it was a blessing to be able to play so close to all my family, for them to be so accessible to me in times where I needed them or when they needed me, and for them to just the amount of support I got on game days was something I'm, extremely, happy with.
Nice. Now, let's dive into the senior year. Let's talk about your senior year. I know you hold the record for the most NCAA touchdowns from a quarterback. But let's just talk about the senior year in a whole. What did it mean to you?
Yeah, I think my senior, it was really special, because I know that I had entered the transfer portal, made the decision to come back. We had lost a lot of starters from the previous year, so just kind of the unknown of what we were going to be able to be or become. And I think just the collective effort of everybody coming together, me being able to, being able to beat a lot of those records with a lot of my favorite people in the world beside me, to be able to experience it with was wonderful. And it was real special. I think everything came full circle. We were able to make it to the national semifinals again for the second time in a row. So it was great. I loved all the coaches that I was involved with. My senior year, I loved all the players that I was playing alongside with, and I thought we made the most of limited resources that Shepherd kind of gets on a yearly basis.
Now going into your senior year, knowing that there was a chance and opportunity for you to be able to go to these bowls, Senior Bowl, whatever it may be, and go get an invite to the combine and take that next step. How did you approach prepare for your senior year?
I took obviously physically wanting to get better, in each facet of my game, improving, all my improving in the throwing game, improving athletically, but then more so, I think bringing it all together in the mental aspect of the game. I thought Coach Haynes did a great job. He was my new offensive coordinator for my senior season. I thought he did a great job of kind of meshing all the attributes I had, but then also getting me familiarized with the mental aspect of the game. I felt a lot more in control. Felt like I was playing, chess instead of checkers, and I was kind of leading the team down the field. When we were on offense, and definitely, took another step up with, my leadership qualities, with just being the ultimate, no questions asked leader of the team. I thought that was something that was good for me, to have for that senior year. But really just also taking into account the fact that I am from a small school. So if I want to play in these bowl games, I need to keep, putting these crazy numbers up. So I felt that, but also feeling that, but also just understanding that if I just take full advantage of each and every play that I'm given on the field, that as long as I do, as long as I'm looking at the right things and doing the right things, everything will kind of take care of itself. So being able to, have both of those mindsets and be able to level them out and still be able to play, with a free mind.
Now going into the year, I won't lie, I wasn't too familiar with it, but a buddy of mine, Shane Halam from the draftcountdown.com, he said, listen, this kid's a real deal. If you get a chance, check him out. So I watched a few games, man, and you definitely delivered. And I was at the Senior Bowl, and we're going to allude to that. That first day I watched you, I was on the field. That ball was popping in receivers' hands. You looked like you were out there trying to make a purpose. You were playing with a chip on your shoulder. Can you tell us a little bit about the Senior Bowl down in Mobile?
Yeah, it was a great experience. I think being able to be coached by by NFL coaching staff, learn the NFL offense, be able to play alongside a lot of the best players in the country. I thought that was special, and also it was motivating too, because I felt as if I was right where I was supposed to be. There was no drop off between me and anybody else, and really that whole thing of just having pop on every pass, that just comes from my mindset of just thinking that everybody who's playing at a higher level must be a lot better than me. So anytime I'm working out, training, I'm making sure that I'm going at 110% every time. And so I was really it was just as if I was training. Whenever I was on the field, I'm just going hard, trying to be on time and on target with everything I was doing. And I think it showed off with just them having the technology in the footballs and being able to track the speed and the distance and everything. And I was pleased, with how those numbers turned out for me. And I think it just shows that, I got all the tools that it takes to play at the next level.
I agree 100% with you. I think you had a wonderful week. Every day that I saw you, you look like you were just dialed in and ready to go. As soon as that music dropped and get you guys on the field, you were locked in and ready to practice. So,
Sir.
now let's talk about the combine. It's right around the corner, right? I know you're locked in. You're training heavy. What can GMs and scouts expect from you in Indianapolis?
I mean, they can, I feel like, simply they can just expect me to approach everything as a pro, whether that's in meetings, whether that's being on time to things, having a notepad, on me wherever I'm going. And then obviously being on the field, limited throws, but, just hoping they can see, the clean footwork and the smooth delivery. And really just get a feel for how much kind of I care about this whole thing. I know they're looking for any little thing they can get their hands on to write me off, just because I'm a small school guy, and they might not necessarily believe in me, like they do guys that are coming from bigger schools. But just showing that I'm gonna continue to be like a pest with this whole thing, and it's gonna be a while for they're gonna be able to write me off. So, and I expect to test really well. I'm excited about that, and kind of think I'll be able to surprise a lot of people, with the numbers I put up. So I'm excited, about, kind of every little thing I'm about to get into at that week in Indy.
The slogan is men lie, women lie, numbers don't, man. Your numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
So we're gonna. I know. I had on the Dockers earlier, but growing up, right? Was there a quarterback maybe in the NFL or say collegiate level? I know West Virginia. We spoke about him lately. That you kind of like took to that you liked. That he's like, oh, I like the way he plays, or you kind of molded your game towards.
I always kind of thought that I just kind of, I was just pretty much super reactive, to the game. I didn't really take into account how anybody played. Growing up, I really, obviously the two GOATs, when I was growing up were just Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. But I think since I've been old enough to kind of, to analyze the game and to really kind of look into it, from a analytical understanding standpoint, I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow. I think he does a great job at everything. And I think he's a great leader and a great competitor and leader. So I like everything he's doing. He's probably the guy that I'm the biggest fan of at the moment. But I'm also a huge fan of every quarterback in the league. I think they're all great, and I think they all got their own thing that makes them who they are. And I definitely I notice it, whenever I'm watching.
Love it. I love it. All right. We got one last question I've asked everybody that I've interviewed down, mobile, or if I've done an online interview. It's one last bowl of cereal you can ever have. What is the breakfast cereal 101?
Ooh, one cereal. I remember looking at this question earlier and I had no clue how I was going to answer it. I think that I don't think, as long as you don't let it get soggy, growing up, I don't eat a whole lot of cereal now, but growing up, Frosted Flakes. I like the fresh bowl of Frosted Flakes. I thought they was off the chain, and that's probably the route I would go if I only had one.
I love it. Frosted Flakes is a hit. It's cinnamon toast crunch and
I went through a cinnamon toast crunch phase, definitely too. But I would say Frosted Flakes. As long as you don't let it sit for too long, that's the GOAT cereal in my opinion.
Yeah, nobody likes soggy cereal. It's got to have some crunch to it, right?
I had a couple buddies growing up that like soggy cereal. That's the only reason I bring that up. So.
Oh wow, that's like that. Yeah, that's a little crazy to me.
That's almost like when somebody likes to sleep in it when it's hot in the room.
It's like putting the milk in before the cereal.
I had a buddy who also likes to do that. So maybe I grew up with a bunch of weirdos, but
hey, everybody, it's each their own. But for me, I need the room to be cold, and I need the cereal to be crunchy, and the cereal goes in first, milk second.
Hey, we're on the same page.
All right, Tyson, I truly appreciate you hopping on and doing this. You got a fan here. I'll be rooting for you at the combine. We have a couple of guys going down there from Total to Titles and CFBNation, so they'll be looking out for you. I just appreciate you, and good luck, my man.
Hey, my man, I appreciate you having me on. You ever need anything from me, don't hesitate to reach out. So I appreciate it.
Maybe, after the combine, we can circle back again.
No doubt.
All right. Good luck, my man. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.